I'm back with Juliet with her choice of our focus for our podcast. What are we talking about today, Jules?
We are talking about Drive, which is kind of ironic because I have to say I am very much working on Drive right now. But I just wanted to ask a few questions actually, and wanted to talk about Drive to see what Mommy's thoughts were.
There you go. Welcome to our absolutely candid conversation. You're new to it, just like I am. Let's talk, Jules.
Okay.
Mama says namaste. Mama says namaste.
Making a family can be easy and fun.
Oh yeah, but raising a family can be a whole different story.
From spouses to kids to the crazy daily grind, life often directs us away from connection and more into reactive chaos.
If you're tired of that cycle and are seeking something beyond the picket fence blues, this is the show for you.
I'm Ashley.
And I'm Nathan.
And we're here to take you from chaos to clarity by bringing awareness and intention into your home, not waiting for one day, and highlighting how
the uniqueness in each of us strengthens all of us.
Take a deep breath in and let's start a brand new day. With Mama says namaste.
All right, Miss Jules. So last month, this is the month of February in 2023, and it's kind of the wrap-up of the month of February. But last month you came on and we had a conversation about
Popularity.
and we had a lot of fun having that conversation. And we've talked about you being more on the podcast. And so I said, why don't you choose a topic, and every week or every month we'll have one podcast episode where you and I talk. So this month you were very quick to tell me what the topic was going to be.
Yes, so yeah, like I was saying in the intro, I just have an interest on what Mommy thinks about Drive. Because, so we're actually going to be leaving to go out west in March 1st. So we're really excited about that.
So literally driving.
Yes,
so
literally driving. And then we figured out the word for the year, which we have words for the year and stuff. So the word for the year would be drive, figuratively and literally. Mm-hmm. So as soon as that happened, we got a renter in the house. We got everything. Everything was just perfect. So now we're really excited to go out west. So everything just kind of molded together when we figured out what our word of the year would be. And I think that's just really cool. But I want to know, what drives you, Mommy?
That's a good question, and it's an important one for us to ask ourselves. So what drives me? My love for my family drives me. My desire to connect in nature drives me. I think that's it. My desire for connection in general, connection to nature and to people. Yeah, I think that would be my biggest thing that drives me, is that feeling of connection and flow when things flow and sync so beautifully that you are stopped in awe of its glory.
Definitely. That you very well said that. So finding Drive, I guess when you said that, it kind of occurred to me. Finding Drive doesn't have to be something that you love doing. For instance, art or pottery or something like that. It can be your family or nature or just creating. It can be a more broad thing than just, I like this, so I've got to focus on this. Because, see, that's what was really difficult for me, because I liked so many things.
Yeah.
So many things gave me drive. But now that you say that, I guess it's just creating. And
yeah, so let me explain it to you in this way too. So your papa has written lots of books, right?
Yes.
Right. So what's the first book he's known for?
48 Days to the Work You Love.
Right, 48 Days to the Work and Life You Love.
And
all right?
Yes.
And when we talk about that and that process of finding work you love, one of the first things in that process is looking inward first. And we look at what lines up your values, dreams, and passions, your skills and abilities, and your personality style, and what things really make you tick. Mm-hmm. The next thing we look at, though, is What is your calling? And Papa explains it by having your calling or your vocation. So you have this, and I'm holding my hands up, so I'm showing this top level here. And then your middle level here is your career.
Okay.
And then the bottom one is your job.
Oh, I like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so let's think about, for example, my desire and my ultimate calling is I want to help others. Okay?
Okay.
That would be my calling. That's
Got
pretty
it.
broad.
That's the high up one.
All right? When we talk about our drive, that's our calling. That's our purpose. That's what drives us. Okay? Let's say it's to help others. How can you do that? How can you help others?
Be a babysitter.
Okay. You can be a babysitter. What else can you do to help others?
You can be in school.
A teacher?
Teacher.
Okay. You can be a
yes.
teacher. All right. What else?
You can be a vet or a doctor.
Okay, vet or doctor. Okay, right there. So now we have 3 different opportunities here. So
Okay.
let's say that my big calling, what I'm driven to do is to help others.
Okay.
Now we want to go into what's our career. We could go into the medical profession. That's one of the things you said, right?
Yes.
We can go into the medical profession. That's pretty
Okay,
broad still.
yes.
There's a lot under there. It could be a veterinarian, it could be animals, or it could be
Humans.
Right. Or we could do teaching. Okay, that's a whole other
Okay,
world.
yeah.
All right. And what kind of teaching are we doing? Are
yeah,
we
do
teaching
preschool, 4th grade, 9th grade.
or 70-year-olds virtually across the country? It doesn't have to be kids either, right?
Yeah.
We can teach a variety of things. So then we've got
Definitely.
teaching being a very broad thing.
Yeah.
And then you talked about babysitting. Okay, maybe it's childcare in general. Or
Childcare.
caregiving.
Caregiving. That's
Ooh,
So
caregiving,
then
which is even
that
more.
can be childgiving. That can be working at a nursing home.
Exactly.
That can be pet sitting.
Okay, so now we love to help others. That's our top one.
Yes.
That's our vocation, our career. I mean, that's our vocation, that's our calling, that's our drive.
Yes, our drive.
All right. Then we've got that second level as our career. And so we have an idea of maybe it's medical, maybe it's teaching, maybe it's caregiving. That still doesn't narrow it down that much.
Yes. And then you have
Then-
your job, and your job is the specifics. You're going to be a vet. You're going to
A
be
vet specifically in Venice, Florida.
yeah. And then
You're a vet at this one location.
Uh-huh.
So that also means that if you lose that job, you could become a vet in a different location, right?
Or you can go to your next
Right.
thing. So you come up with, so if I'm doing this correct, you come up with your drive. You come up with your end goal, with what you are longing to do. You come up with 2 or 3 different options. Teaching, childcare, but and then you get your job, the specific career for that.
Right.
So if you get fired, if you dislike that first job, you have those 2 or 3 others to go to. Am I saying that right?
Right. If your big calling in life is something as general as helping others, or for me,
That's broad.
it's helping people find their light. So it's discovering the light within.
Definitely.
And being in the moment and experiencing flow in life. If we know what these big callings are, it helps in a lot of different ways. First off, if something happens in
Yeah,
our
you've
job,
got
it doesn't mean
another-
we've lost our identity. It just means we look for another job.
And you look for another opportunity.
And it also means that we're not locked into just one. And so
No.
it takes some of the pressure off. So when I say, Jules, what drives you? It doesn't mean that this has to drive you from...
It doesn't
Uh,
have to be pottery that drives me.
Right. It doesn't mean
can
you're
be
stuck in pottery
creating.
or
It could
baking
be, yeah.
for the rest of your life. It could
Definitely.
be that it's what you're starting now. So let's go into... So which way would you rather work it? To figure out your drive, would you rather work it by the things that you like to do, that you want to focus on, and we get to your drive? Or do you feel like you know what your drive is?
I think it's easier. I think it can go both ways. Because if you have something that's like really important that you want to do, creating let's just say creating.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have your 3 careers, and then you have your jobs. Or you can figure out what your favorite job, like dream jobs are.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can do your career that matches those. And then an end goal, a drive that matches those.
Right. So you reverse engineer it is what
Yes.
it's called. We
Okay.
kind of work backwards in it. So let's think about it for you. What drives you, Juliet?
I guess creating.
Creating.
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of things do you like to create?
I like to bake. I want to do pottery. I haven't really done it before,
Okay.
but
When you think of creating, you're thinking baking, you're thinking pottery. What are you creating for? What's the point of the creation?
the creation is not just to make money.
Uh-huh.
The creation is to, I guess it's to, it's for yourself. It's for you.
Huh.
You're
Okay.
creating for yourself. You're not creating to please others. Creating because you love it.
So is your desire to
And creating doesn't actually have to be art or baking or something like that. It can also be creating a new person in this life. You can also have that as a mother.
Yeah. Well, let's go deeper with what you were talking about there. I mean, you're very right. Creation can go in a lot of different ways.
Definitely.
And so when I'm thinking about what you're talking about, are you thinking you like the idea of creation for fostering creativity and new ideas? Or you like the idea of creation being helping others see what they're capable of creating?
Ooh. Wow. That is. Yeah, I guess the first one you said.
You like to open the door to keep creativity flowing.
Yeah, to foster it for myself,
Uh-huh.
but also for others, I guess. So probably a mix of both. And as kind of a side note, you can break down what you'd like with you and answer some of the questions, or have someone else help you with some of the questions, because I'm seeing drive in a whole nother
Good.
perspective just from talking to mommy. So you can
It helps
do
to have
this-
these
break
conversations.
this down to know what your first steps are.
And pay attention to how I'm asking questions here, where she just said create, but I want to know more about that. I want to know what type of creation that is.
Break
So
it down from
We ask more questions. Ask questions upon questions to dig deep for yourself on what really is driving you.
dig deep into the why.
Right. So with this now, you like the idea of creating, and right now you're seeing the biggest thing in it is just drive to open more doors of creativity. And in
Yes.
doing that, that can be an inspiration for others to unlock their own doors for creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh wait, go ahead.
So you talked about some different things, baking and pottery. So let's think realistically here, because as we look for what things drive us, we also want to look for how we can support that drive in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to support you in your drive. And we also want to be practical about
Yeah.
how we're literally driving, right?
Yeah.
And so as we're traveling around, it's not going to be very feasible for us to carry around a pottery wheel in a kiln, for
Yeah.
example. So what are some ways that you think you could look at channeling your desire to create and inspire
Into
on our road, while we're on the road? So we're not looking at for the next short bit. We're not looking at for the next, we're not looking at for the next 5 years, but we're saying for this next 90-day stretch, we know for
Try
the next
it
90
out.
days we're traveling. So what's something that you could do that would be drive for you? And let me say one more thing about drive. When we're talking about our calling and our purpose, we identify that as, let's say for this example, Julia, your calling and purpose in life is to inspire creativity in all by being that example
Definitely.
yourself. So let's say that is your biggest calling.
maybe
That may be something that in order to get there, drive is what makes you muscle through the hard stuff.
what makes you want to move on, even though it might not be the fun
So
part.
if your ultimate calling and desire is to inspire and foster creativity in others by example, then that means that what drives you is going to be opening your mind and continuing to push yourself a little bit out of your comfort zone,
Definitely.
a little bit more challenge, and that drive of being willing to go out of it. If you're excited about what it is that you're doing, you are driven.
Definitely.
Okay?
Okay, yeah.
Do you see
And-
that? So instead of just I'm giving you homework and you have to do this, when you have something you're passionate about that you've identified as a calling, then that determination to continue to pursue it is what becomes drive that allows you to work through the
Yes.
hard stuff.
Definitely.
Because what happens when you are struggling?
You don't feel drive.
And what is your opportunity in the struggle?
You can look for your end goal and find that it might be a little harder to get through that part, but is it worth it with the end goal? And to that, I also wanted to put 2 questions. So, what happens if you're in a job and you've done all of your jobs and you look at your career or like your drive and you want to change that? Can you have more than one? And can you change that drive?
Well, let me ask you this. Do you remember what was really important when you were 2 years old?
No. But I guess that was what I wanted then.
Well, I'll remember. I can tell you. It was my dolly and my passy.
Yeah.
It was my dolly and my passy is everything. My dolly and my passy was the world for you. And every bit of motivation is so I can have my dolly and my passy.
Wow. Yeah. So,
Do you think that you have a different focus other than a dolly and a passy at this point in your life?
yes, definitely. So, is it just while as you grow and as you mature, you can get new things that drive you? So, that also brings me to the second question I was asking was, can you have more than one thing that drives you? Like creativity. Well, I also enjoy gymnastics and rock climbing. So, even though that doesn't go into the category of creativity, I still enjoy it a lot. So, what do I do when I'm at that point?
Okay. Well, then we're kind of getting into what are we distinguishing here? Because creativity, you may be creating in a ton of different ways. Maybe your creating is figuring out that new rock climbing route.
Okay.
Or
Creating a
maybe-
new path.
Or maybe it's, and so a creation still can be that common theme. And that's where I'll say, although what drives you is going to change throughout your life because different things will motivate you. You know, there's a time in your life where it's, treats motivate you. There's a time in your life where you may have a specific goal that's motivating you to get that
Yes.
job or to
get that.
or to connect with
finish.
that certain someone.
Yeah.
There are lots of ways that you may, you don't give me that silly look. You don't have to do it at 10, believe me. But at some point, you're going to be driven toward different things and have lots of different things that drive you. Yes.
Definitely.
Your ultimate desire and your ultimate calling and passion, that oftentimes does stay pretty solid. I've always had that desire to help others find their inner light. And have those conversations with people to help them see the beauty that they may not see in themselves.
Okay.
And that's been something that stayed as a common theme. Now, I've done that in a variety of different ways, and that's been, being a babysitter or a teacher or a mommy or a coach, or even doing things that are outside of that. Sometimes it's just helping people out.
Definitely.
And giving them a break to remember who they are. There are lots of different ways. And so
Drive kind of, I guess, is what motivates you to get up in the morning, what motivates you, what you look forward to, what helps you get through the harder times.
right. So that
That
there's
end
not
goal.
the aimlessly wandering through the house. It's not defensiveness when people ask what you're doing. because you have a goal and you're directing yourself from within, not by anyone else.
Definitely. Thank you a lot. That really changed my perspective of drive, and I'm really glad that we had this conversation, and I'm glad that we're recording it right now, because I feel like it might help some of our listeners to find what drives them and to move towards that in their life. So thank you so much, Mommy.
Yes. Your uncle is actually coming out with a book this year called What Drives You.
Oh, I didn't remember that.
Drive is a big focus in our whole family, and I'm really eager to read his book when it comes out as well. And
Definitely.
yeah, this is an ongoing conversation, and I appreciate you being willing to have the conversation and willing to admit when you might need some help.
Definitely, yes.
Because no matter what age you are, there are times where we need help, and we need somebody. Sometimes we need somebody else to point out what we don't recognize in ourselves because we have a blind eye to it, because it's too much a part of who we are.
Yeah.
And so sometimes just seeing things in a different way, or having somebody reframe it in a different way, can be really powerful. So as you are driven to create, let's work it down to one action step. What is one thing that you can do? Coming from this conversation, what's one thing you think that you can do to take ownership of your own drive starting tomorrow morning?
Maybe make a chart or a poster or a piece of paper that you might want to put your drive, your end goal, your job, and your...
Now, I'm going to challenge you, though. I'm asking you right now.
Okay.
For you in this scenario, so not just for the career and not just for the grown-ups listening, but for the kiddos that are listening, that have heard what you have said, have heard where you've been processing through this conversation. What is something you can do that you can take from this to help you move forward, so it's not just a conversation, but you actually put it into action?
Well, to put it into the action, you can look in your house and see if you have any books, if you have anything online that could help you learn more to move towards that drive in goal.
So tomorrow, what is one thing you will do?
I will look for look for books and go into my Khan Academy, my account that I do on for schooling, and I will look for creative things that I'm interested in, so I can learn more about them and find which one I'd like, and move closer to that end goal.
Okay, and so what we just did is we worked you from a very general idea to a concrete thing. And I'm going to take one specific thing that you said, and that is you go to Khan every day. You do Khan Academy, and you work on your math in Khan Academy up to your grade, and then we're opening up other things that you're looking at as well in there. And so instead of it being a super loose, I'm going to look at books, I'm going to figure some stuff out, we'll put some very clear parameters. What if you are setting 30 minutes aside tomorrow? 30 minutes aside to, quote unquote, shop in Khan, to look around on Khan at the other programs. And I can give you a few other specific spaces to look. Okay, we've got Masterclass, which is a really great program, and that's all the grown-up videos that you love, but there's some great programs that are in there. So we're going to look at a few different places and give you 30 minutes of exploring some different things to see if something piques your interest. And we can start on that to look at what things there are. Now, that's one thing to do to open up the creative drive. What else is important? When we are moving toward any kind of creative or any kind of other thing with drive, there is one basic one that every human person has or has the opportunity to have, and this has to do with having a growth mindset. My first and foremost goal as a family is for us to be kind human beings that make a positive impact in the world, so that we recognize our impact and that we are just, as much as we can, we are giving our best.
Showing
So-
up every day.
So how else will you show up today as you move toward your interest in creating? How else do you show up tomorrow?
Show up with your family. Show up with your friends. Do clean. Take care of yourself.
Okay.
And the necessities, I guess.
But it is. I mean, sometimes that's an issue. That's an issue for a lot of families where they have kiddos that they wait for their parents to come tell them to get up out of bed. They wait for their parents to tell them to clean up their room. They wait for their parents to fix all of their food, to tell them when to share, when not to share. There's a lot of things that kids wait on parents to do, and at some point there is a shift. So when I ask you, what are you driven to do tomorrow? That's an opportunity every day for you to step into your own independence and for you to own what things you really want to prioritize in your life.
Definitely, yeah.
All right. This was a great conversation, Jules.
Thank you so
And-
much for answering these questions.
I really enjoyed it. I hope that it has been helpful, and we've kind of touched on some ways that we can navigate figuring out what drives us and what we feel we are called to do, no matter if we are 10 or whether we are 40 or anywhere else. And
Anywhere in between.
Yes.
Or higher.
or lower. My goodness. This could work for all. So have conversations and dig into things and have these sorts of conversations with your kids. Be curious about what they're curious about. Dig deeper with a question than just answering the question, but look if there's a deeper question within
Yeah.
that may gain some more
It's
insights.
the question and the question.
Right. And as you go about your day, remember how
The uniqueness in each of us strengthens all of us. Thank you for listening.
Namaste.
1, 2, 3. Up with the rising sun, already on the run. Mama says namaste. Life is a tangled mess, and you don't have to stress. Mama says namaste. 'Cause today I will stand up and be all the change that I want to see in this world. Boys and girls, you gotta have to stand up to be free. Namaste in your home. Take a deep breath in and let's start a brand new day. With Mama says namaste.